Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and in this video I'm going to give you 10 recent Blu-rays that I think deserve 4K upgrades. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365. Okay, in today's video, I will be giving you 10 recent Blu-rays that were released over the past year or so that I think would make great 4K upgrades. Now, when it comes to home formats, we all get those movies that only appear on Blu-ray and, whether it's a digital 4K only kind of situation, it's just one of those that as physical media collectors, you want the best possible format for your favorite movies. And, sometimes with the 4K, you get those upgrades with HDR, and sometimes Dolby Atmos is exclusive to the 4K disc. In a perfect world, all the movies released would get both Blu-rays and 4K editions, but unfortunately, 4K being a niche that it is, it's kind of selective. We don't really know the reasons why a movie is given the 4K treatment. Some box office bombs will just get a full 4K workup, but then other contenders that are really, well received and do good at the box office, just a standard Blu-ray. It's just one of those things I guess we'll never really know the answer to. So for my personal list, it's going to be a mixture of films that I feel would really benefit from the extra bells and whistles such as HDR or upgraded audio, to just movies that I feel deserve a little bit more prestige, that, being on a 4K disc gives it a little bit more elevation. And before you start typing, I am fully aware that all the movies on this list are available on 4K digitally. That's not what we're talking about. We, as physical media collectors, want an actual copy to put on our shelf. That's, if you've been a long time fan of the channel, that's what I'm all about over here. And no, as far as this list goes, it is going to be not in any particular order. So my number one is not my number one. These are just 10 movies over the last year or so that I think would make good 4K upgrades that are only available on Blu-ray. And I also encourage you to put in the comment section below your personal 10 Blu-rays that you would like to see get the 4K treatment. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. My first pick was released on Blu-ray just a few weeks ago as of the recording of this video, but I really think a physical 4K copy would elevate it just like the subject matter, and that is The Menu. The Menu is a really decent, I don't know if I would call it a thriller, but it's a very much a satirical thriller. Let's just put it that way. And, if you know the subject matter, they deal with a lot of foods and the elevation of that kind of culture. So unfortunately, just the Blu-ray edition was put out, and I think a 4K would just also give it a little bit more gravitas and elevate it to a degree. It's not going to be the most eye-catching, or it's not going to have a killer Dolby Atmos audio, but for me, it's more just having the prestige of a physical 4K copy. To be fair, the Blu-ray looks really nice. I don't really have any complaints about it. Unfortunately, 20th Century Pictures / Disney put this one out, so a physical copy is probably not in the cards. So unfortunately, this one will have to remain on the wish list. This next one was released on Blu-ray from Universal, and I was a little surprised it didn't get a 4K. I'm talking about Idris Elba starring in Beast. If you're unaware, think The Ghost in the Darkness, but a more modern spin on it. It's a lion stalking a family. And if you take that aspect, the setting, it would make for a wonderful, good-looking 4K disc. And you add the usual HDR and Dolby Vision. Now, where the Blu-ray really falters is not the image. I think the image looks good. It's only available in a DTS 7.1, whereas the 4K digital is a full Dolby Atmos. I really don't like it when studios do that. So for that reason alone, I think a physical 4K copy would just be top-notch. And I'm hopeful one day we're going to see it, because Shout Factory, a boutique label like that, typically gets stuff from Universal to put out on 4K, where that studio will just put out the Blu-ray. So I'm hopeful one day we'll see a 4K edition of Beast, and maybe that will happen. This one was released just a few short months ago, and not only do I think it should get a 4K release, but a 3D copy would be amazing. And I'm talking about Fall. Now, it is available digitally on 4K, but I feel that the Blu-ray has a couple issues that a 4K physical copy would more than fix. And I'm talking about some compression. There's a couple night scenes that look a little choppy and blocky, and I haven't had a chance to check out the 4K digital version, so I'm not sure if it's rectified over there. But if you have a physical copy on 4K with the added HDR and maybe Dolby Vision, I think it would more than compensate and correct it. And I really like the film. It's, you know, it's a little bit of a drama slash thriller, and it's got a good, it moves at a brisk pace. I think it's a fun movie. And I do think a physical 4K release slash 3D Blu-ray would really put this one over. So maybe one day we'll see it. This next one, I firmly believe 100% we are going to get a 4K release, whether Universal puts it out or it's lent out to a boutique label like Shout Factory, Screen Factory. But I'm confident this is coming to 4K, but I'm going to put it on the list anyway. And that is A Violent Night, starring my doppelganger, David Harbour. Now, I watched this one on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks good, but what I really like about a 4K, especially when you throw in HDR and Dolby Vision, is it takes a Christmas setting movie and it really elevates it. It pops it very well with colors. I mean, there's a good amount to be had here. And I would love to see also an Atmos upgrade. I think the Atmos track does exist. I'm not quite sure if it is Atmos capable over on the digital version, but I really like this film. Once again, I am 100% certain we're going to get this on 4K sometime probably in the next year or so. So I'm not going to talk too much about this one, but Violent Night is a fun holiday type of movie that just very violent, and it's cool, and I'm very happy one day to see this one on 4K. This next one came out earlier in 2022, and I feel that the Blu-ray unfortunately has a few issues with it that the 4K disc would more than likely compensate for. And I'm talking about After Yang, starring Colin Farrell. If you're unaware, it's a quiet little sci-fi film that deals with loss, but it's well done in a visual sense, and the story is also, it's a bit of a tearjerker. And I think it deserves a little bit better than what we got on the Blu-ray. Unfortunately, the Blu-ray does suffer from some elevated black levels where a 4K with HDR would really compensate for. I checked out the digital version and it does seem to alleviate those issues, but a physical copy I think would just round it out very nicely and elevate it even that much further. I think A24 did this one, so maybe we'll get a website exclusive 4K release down the line. But I would love to see After Yang on 4K, and if you've never seen it, I would check it out also for yourself. I think I mentioned earlier that sometimes a movie deserves to be on 4K just for the prestige of it, and no other reason. Well, I feel that this particular one, and I'm talking about director Kenneth Branagh's film Belfast, would definitely fit in that mold. I like the film. It's shot entirely in black and white. So, you know, with a more modern black and white film, you're not going to get huge gains if you port it over to 4K. But I did do a comparison with the 4K digital versus the Blu-ray, and there are some subtle differences that I think on a physical disc would, I think, also stand out a little bit more. I enjoy the movie. It's, you know, it's a period drama that has some good elements. Kenneth Branagh did a great job directing it. And I do wish one day we'll see this one on 4K, but who knows what the future holds for this one. The next one on this list is the only title to actually have a physical 4K release, and I'm talking about director Alex Garland's Men. Now, this is available in a physical 4K copy, but you have to import it, I believe, from Germany. Now, while I normally don't have any problems importing a 4K release, this one, unfortunately, you don't get the Dolby Atmos audio that's presented on the 4K digital here in the States. It's only 5.1, so I don't want to sacrifice the audio just for the physical 4K copy. I think one day this will eventually come to physical media, at least in 4K. It's moody, it's atmospheric, it has some good set pieces. It is a divisive film. I was a little unsure when I first watched it, but ultimately I came around. I do like it, but I don't know. One day I think we'll see this one, whether it's picked up by a boutique label or some sort of website exclusive. So hopefully a proper US full Atmos 4K release of Men will be in the cards. When it comes to horror, a lot of times we don't get 4K releases, at least in a physical sense, and I really believe that this next one is also slated to come out from Shout Factory down the line, probably sooner rather than later, and I'm talking about director Scott Derrickson's film, The Black Phone. I really enjoyed this one, and the Blu-ray does look nice, but once again, I feel a physical 4K release would make those black levels nice and deep and inky and rich, and give it the proper moody atmosphere that it deserves on a home format. I really do think that Shout's going to put this one out probably, I would say before the end of the year if I was a betting man. And, you know, horror as a genre, I feel is getting more representation on 4K, but it's still not quite up there. I really want to see it, and I think a lot of fans of the film would love to see this one also on the physical media format. So yes, the Black Phone on 4K, I'm pretty sure we're going to see it in the near future. This is another release that I am 100% confident is going to get 4K, and the film itself needs it to be on 4K, and I'm talking about Pearl. If you're unaware, Pearl is a horror film starring Mia Goth, and it's sort of the prequel slash sequel to X, which came out earlier in the year. Now, why X is not on this list is because it did get a physical 4K release. Yes, this is an import, so if you want it, at least for now, you're going to have to import that one. But Pearl, as of right now, is Blu-ray only across the globe. I really believe this is going to be a 4K release, probably in the same manner. You're going to have to import it, but geez, this movie looks beautiful. It's visually a stunning looking palette. And if you throw in HDR or Dolby Vision, I think that is going to be the chef's kiss. It is going to look gorgeous on the formats. I'm confident we're going to have a nice media book or something to import for this film, probably in the very near future. And I think one day US releases will follow as well. So Pearl on 4K is definitely going to be on the list. And for my last recent Blu-ray that I would love to see get a physical 4K release, I'm going to give that one to the Banshees of Inisherin. This film was one of my favorites of the past year. It was easily in my top 5. And I just think a physical 4K copy would elevate this one even more. This is one of those more of a prestige kind of titles on my list that I would love to see get it. You know, once again, this is a Disney 20th century production, so you're not going to see a physical 4K copy, unfortunately. But one can hope, you know, because I think the time period, the setting, and just the overall look of the film would really benefit. With HDR, I think it would just elevate it even more on a physical release. And, you know, mid-Atmos upgrade, sure, why not? Throw that in there. I know I'm really asking for the moon at this point, but I think it's a beautifully made movie. You know, it's a dark comedy, but it has some heart to it, and I think it deserves a special place on a physical media in 4K. So I think a lot of people would agree with me that the Banshees of Inisherin should get a physical 4K release. So those are 10 recent Blu-ray releases that I would love to see get 4K upgrades. I'm pretty confident that at least half of these will make it to physical 4K down the line, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I also want to hear from you. What 10 recent Blu-rays would you love to see get 4K upgrades? Sound off in the comments below. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.